Prologues are some of the most interesting moments in storytelling. They stand apart from the rest of the story, and their structure can differ drastically from the formula followed by the film, game, book, or television show that employs it. Since every video I've created for FullScreen Thinker has been about video games, I thought it would be a nice break to talk about movies and discuss the magic of a well-executed prologue in context of a film. What do I mean by prologue? A prologue consists of the beginning moments of a media artifact that manage to differentiate themselves from the rest of the artifact. For example, in the film Seven Psychopaths, the opening scene portrays two characters having a lengthy conversation even though you do not see those characters after the first scene. It is its own short film. It marks itself as different from the rest of the movie through its long takes and the witty back and forth dialogue reminiscent of Vincent and Jules' discussion of cheeseburgers and Amsterdam in Pulp Fiction. But how do prologues function? Or better yet, how do they excel? Let's look at two examples, one from a well-known film and one from a less popular flick. First, The Dark Knight, and the prologue that I call The Heist. Christopher Nolan directs what I consider one of the most exhilarating prologues in movie history, and though it acts as a device to introduce the film's villain, the scene has several characteristics that invite us to see it as a prologue, namely characters we won't see after the first scene, the quicker pace and editing, and its own story arc that makes it feel like its own short film. Let's first talk about the characters. One by one, we are introduced to each character's function in the bank heist, and then that character is murdered by one of his masked comrades. We see the alarm expert first. Right after he explains that the bank's alarm strangely dialed out to a private number, bam, shot in the back by the vault cracker. Before we see his demise, we cut to the bank lobby where the manager shoots the guy on crowd control. Cut back to the safe cracker. Shoes on his hands, talking about how the vault is protected with an electric charge. He can't talk for long though. Bam, shot right after he realizes what's happening by the money gatherer. After the gatherer finishes his job, he is about to kill another masked colleague who we later discover is the Joker himself. The maze of deceptive action is overwhelming, and the cunning of the bank job is fun to watch play out. That fun is only augmented by the quick pace in editing. A window is blasted open and we quickly cut to the characters responsible. A character is shot and we cut to a different location. The camera never lets us relax. Overall, it is its own short film. 7 characters are introduced and we watch as the tension builds to a climax while 6 of those characters kill each other off. The one remaining is the Joker, and the extreme close-up on his face after removing his mask is an apt finale to a thrilling prologue.
Simply makes you a stranger.
Note that this scene is quite different from the rest of the film. Never does the editing return to such a rapid pace, never do we hear about these characters again except the Joker, and never will we see the Joker's maniacal genius condensed so well into a mere 5 minutes. My second example is from a much smaller film, John Coscarelli's dark comedy action horror B-movie, John Dies at the End. Its prologue I have lovingly titled The Riddle. The scene begins with a black screen and a voiceover by the film's protagonist, David Wong.
Solving the following riddle will reveal the awful secret behind the universe. Assuming you do not go utterly mad in the attempt. Let's say you have an axe, just a cheap one from Home Depot. On one bitter winter day, you use said axe to behead a man. Don't worry, the man's already dead. Or maybe you should worry, because you're the one who shot him.
And it keeps going. The voiceover is rapid fire, and though David provides voiceovers throughout the film, it never flies as quickly or as cryptically as during the riddle. I can't say much more about this prologue. Besides the length of time dedicated to the riddle and the various scenarios it walks you through are funny, gross, fast, and wonderful.
Brandish your axe.
That's the axe that slayed me.
Is he right?
By this point, you probably can guess what makes this a prologue inasmuch as it is obvious how it is different from the rest of the film. Much like The Dark Knight, you meet characters you don't see for the rest of the film, the editing is much faster, and it functions as a short film in and of itself. But now that I've described what makes these scenes prologues, I'll conclude by talking about what makes them excellent prologues. Prologues worthy of analysis and admiration. Essentially, though their structure is different from the remaining minutes of their respective films, these prologues convey themes that will crop up during the movie's stories. In The Heist, we learn about the Joker's evil genius, and the scene hints at the film's climax inasmuch as the 2 escape boats carrying prisoners and citizens are pitted against each other in a game of kill or be killed. In The Riddle, we get used to the voiceover narration by the protagonist as well as the funny yet mysterious flow of the film. It never really answers all of its own questions, and many scenes are out of order and don't make much sense in terms of the film's plot. I would love to describe how prologues function in video games, especially since the groundbreaking opening to Naughty Dog's The Last of Us, but that will have to wait until another time. Until then, keep watching, keep playing, and keep thinking.
Oh, dang it. I forgot to give this to him.